Hi everyone, my name is Richard Santoro and I welcome you to Third and Zen, the channel where every week I'm sharing a spiritual message to nourish ourselves, heart, mind, body, and soul. First, thank you for stopping by the channel. Thanks for checking out today's message. I do hope that this finds you doing well. I hope that you're doing the best you can to care for yourself, heart, mind, body, and soul. I hope you're taking the time, the energy, the effort, the love, the patience to care for yourself. The fact that you're here, even to check this video out, be grateful to yourself that you've taken this time, and be grateful for whatever other time you give yourself to care for yourself. With that being said, let's take a nice deep breath. Take a moment, just be still. Just sit or be wherever you are, and just breathe. Signal to the body that it's time to just be still. Another breath or two. And let's get started with today's message, shall we? So I haven't said it yet, but happy Easter, my friends. By the way, happy Easter. This is today's Easter. Dropping this message on Easter, wishing you a happy Easter. I hope you find joy and blessings and celebration in the day that is the holiest day of the Christian year. So again, happy Easter. Now, as this day had been, as time had been leading up to this day and going through my Lenten journey or just journeying in general, I recorded several messages for before and a couple for after. I had all sorts of messages ready to go, but I didn't really have an Easter message. I'm not going to lie. I went for a couple of walks, I prayed, I reflected, and, hope that the Spirit would say, boom, here it is, have at it. I've done several Easter messages over the years, and they've all been different, but I got to tell you, I didn't have one. I didn't have like a set, this is the Easter message for today. This is the big one. This is the Super Bowl of messages, because Easter is the Super Bowl of the Christian year. I didn't have it. So, I started reflecting on all that is Easter, all that, has been preached about and written about and spoken about when it comes to Easter. You go to all different churches today, or you watch different sermons and videos and things online. They're going to hit certain beats, as, they, will understandably do. So what would we talk about today? Do we talk about, here are some of the options. Do we talk about, the empty tomb? I come from the Methodist tradition and denomination, and the empty tomb is a big thing for us. That was the thing on Easter morning. The tomb was empty. That this symbolic victory over death, and just this symbol of the resurrection, is an empty tomb. Talk about the resurrection itself, which is, obviously massive. That's sort of understating a little bit, but talking about the resurrection itself, this huge moment where all of Christianity hinges upon it, the entire story, the entire blueprint, the definition of all that it is, it's all hinged on the resurrection. We can talk about the depths of what that means in certain ways, like the mindset and attitude that we have in the beautiful way on Easter of renewal, of rising up again, coming back from death, rising up, overcoming, this idea of hope, this idea of looking at that and then filtering life through that lens of hope, of renewal, of rising up again. And, obviously this takes place, Easter takes place with the same lunar cycle, because it's based on, when Passover happens. So Passover, this lunar cycle, it happens during the spring. And we relate so much of it to spring. The lilies and the flowers and the butterflies and the seeds, the things outside starting to bud again and grow, that little bit of hint of life that we, this is the time of year that we do this, and it's related to that. And we embrace that as part of the thematic idea of resurrection and Easter and Resurrection Day itself. And, part and parcel of what we could talk about with that is the adopting of other cultural traditions that did take place that have been folded into our Easter traditions. It is this springtime event, related to Passover, but it also adopted other cultural traditions that celebrated spring. Winter is ending, winter is over, spring is here, life is coming back again. As I mentioned, the flowers budding, seeds growing, life is taking place and emerging again, and this rebirth. That's why, we have the Easter eggs, but eggs, the symbol of life, and rabbits, the symbol of procreation, of life renewing and life starting again and life being born again. We could then veer into the lane of the love of Jesus, to do this, to go through what he went through during his time on earth, his 3-year ministry, which was fraught with its own challenges, and then Holy Week, which was fraught with its own challenges, and then obviously the betrayals and the crucifixion. I don't want to undersell that, but the love of Jesus to do all of this, to give his life, to be this suffering servant, and to have victory, to overcome it all. There's so much fruit to be spoken about there. And then we can veer into the lane of the players that are on the stage for the scripture stories, for these Passion Week stories. Mary Magdalene, this massive figure that is mentioned in all 4 of the Gospels as being the one who was present at the cross and at the tomb. There's nobody else. Just Mary Magdalene stands alone, and she's the one who's commissioned by Jesus to be the apostle to the apostles, to give the first Easter message. There's so much to discuss with what that means of being that individual, and having that individual be a woman, and having this individual be so close to Jesus and so connected to him, and have such a depth of love for him. There's so much about Mary Magdalene that we can speak this massive figure. Or we could talk about the other disciples and their journey with Jesus leading up to all of this, and their challenges that they faced, during Holy Week and Holy Thursday and the rest, and then that Good Friday, the crucifixion, and, that grief they felt, just all of it, the sense of failure and fear and guilt and shame and just abundant grief that we can talk about when it comes to the disciples. And then the pendulum swinging the other way, and now having to process, he's alive? What? And to look at it through those lenses of, life's pendulum swinging from this way to that way, and what that means. And then we can even veer into the lane with the disciples of how they then processed it, looking at them in an examination of, this is the end of a journey for them, and it's the beginning of a journey. It's the end of one phase, and how that ended, and just all of unpacking all of that, and then the next phase for them, and leaning in and discovering all of that for them. It's massive, whether it's Mary Magdalene or Thomas or Nicodemus or Peter or Mary, the mother of Jesus, or Jesus' siblings, how things shifted for them. We could look at the resurrection itself in the biblical narrative, and I just saw Dune Part 2. Love Dune Part 1, love Dune Part 2. Such amazing movies, and a lot of spiritual and religious themes there, but I don't want to go into that. But I watched Dune Part 2 when the day it came out, and it was amazing. But then I watched it again the second time, and seeing it the second time, knowing the full story and what's going to take place, I'm able to now I was able to watch it that second time, seeing each thing and each act and each moment and each scene as it related to the end, now that I knew the end. Same thing, looking at the disciples and this journey through the lens of them now knowing the end. Because they didn't know the end during it. The Transfiguration, the Sermon on the Mount, all these moments in their lives with Jesus, they didn't, he spoke of it, but you don't know it until it happens. So how that's processed, that journey, that's something we could talk about. And then that's not even touching on the cosmological, cosmic, existential, theological, grand, transcendent, divine, all of it. Why this crucifixion, why this resurrection, what it means, why it happened. It's just so, there's so many things there to talk about. So which one am I going to talk about? Which one do you want to hear about? Which one resonated with you? Did any? Have you given it any thought? Life can be pretty busy. And Easter comes, and a lot of times it comes with all the planning maybe we have to do, whether it's getting together with family, or whether it's, maybe going to church, or just Easter Sunday celebration. And buying gifts maybe, Easter baskets or this or an outfit or whatever. And that's all on top of regular life, which keeps us pretty well busy and pretty occupied. So maybe you haven't had a moment, and I say this without judgment. I say this with absolute love and total understanding. Maybe you haven't had a moment to stop and say, where am I with this Easter? And where is this Easter for me? What is it that I'm connecting with this Easter? Because last Easter's gone, and we've been through so many Easters in our lifetime and in our journeys. And maybe for some of us, from the time we were, little with the, the Easter bonnet and the Easter eggs and the Easter egg hunts, all up and through our adult years, every Easter it was a thing for us. Or maybe some of us are newer to it in our spiritual journey, and maybe some of us have disconnected and are now reconnecting. Either way, our journeys are all different, and our journey with Easter and our relationship with the resurrection and all of that is different. And either way, our relationship with it today, this Easter, is different than perhaps it had been last year, because we're different. We're at a different place in our journey. We've had different experiences, different everything. So again, maybe we haven't sat with Easter just yet to realize what it's going to say to us now, today, this Easter. So that's my encouragement. That's my Easter message. It is an invitation to all of us to take a moment, whether it's a minute, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, a post-Easter dinner walk around the block, a conversation with someone we love. It's an invitation to sit with Easter and see what comes to the surface. Is it Mary Magdalene? Is it hope? Is it the grief? Is it processing? Is it something that needs to be renewed? Is it maybe a not having to do with us, but that deeper examination of the biblical or the existential and cosmological? I don't know. But I'm inviting all of us to take a moment and just be still during the course of your Easter, or even after Easter. It doesn't have to be today. I encourage it to be today if it can, but if not, that's okay. Every day is Resurrection Day, but I'm inviting us and encouraging us to sit with Easter and see what it says to us today for this Easter. That's the message. Thanks be to God. Amen. Okay, my friends, I want to thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Again, I do also want to add that I know holidays, any and every holiday has its challenges. We have relationships with it and with the people in our lives, or family, or past, or present. I know holidays can be very tough. So I want to wish you love and sympathy in that journey, and a reminder that you are under no obligation to feel any level of joy and celebratory vibes wherever you are in your journey right now, or wherever it's been lately. If you're not able to be there and be present with that, that's okay. Don't put any undue expectations or obligations on yourself. So again, that's my message for you, if that's where you happen to be. Either way, I wish you nothing but love, peace, joy, and fellowship with God as you go forward on your journey. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for all of you. I love you all. Have a great day. Have a great journey. Happy Easter. Ciao, ciao.